Hello, my name is Wojciech, and this is basics of free-to-play mobile games. The presentation was designed in English, so it will be in English. I'm not sure if there are any English-speaking people here, but that's what we're going to do. So yeah, all right. The point of this presentation is to give you a bird's-eye view of the mobile game industry. It's a kind of new field and kind of dynamic field, and that means there are a lot of moving parts. Some names of job titles are changing, and there's a lot of flux in the space currently. And this presentation is aiming to give you context into how the thing works from in a big picture, and also to maybe if you are looking into joining the game industry, to give you some overview into what you can expect when someone says they're maybe a creative designer or something like that, right? So this is aimed at mostly entry-level people and junior people. So yeah, that's just to kind of give you a heads up. All right. So who am I? I started my journey in the industry as a game designer in Polish Games. It's a small indie studio here in Wrocław. It built a sandbox open world game. If you were on the Tomek's presentation earlier today, you might have seen it a bit. So yeah. Then I joined 10 Square Games as a livebox designer. I eventually started leading the team at 10 Square Games. We were working on a Hunting Clash product, and yeah, from there I joined Vivid Games as livebox manager, and I'm currently a product owner at Vivid Games. So, without further ado, why go free to play? When you think of traditional games like your Witchers, your Cyberpunks, your Baldur's Gates, the idea is pretty straightforward. You're making your game and then you're selling it. Pretty straightforward. However, there's a big barrier here. When you're asking player to give you money and they didn't play your game beforehand, they don't know if your game is good or bad, right? So they have a hard time giving you money. And the free-to-play model is basically designed to circumvent this problem in a way. And here are two games. Does anyone know what's the top picture here?
Call of Duty.
Yes, it's Call of Duty, the first one. And last year, Black Ops 6 was released, and it crossed the threshold of 500 million sold copies in the franchise as a whole. Call of Duty, one of the biggest names in gaming, obviously, and with all of their games, they just passed 500 million, right? This is Magic Tile's 3TM piano game. It has 500 million downloads. So the player base is kind of comparable here, right? I'm not sure how many people heard about Magic Tiles, but definitely more people heard about Call of Duty, right? So this kind of shows you the power of free to play. You're getting way more players, and you are focusing on monetizing them a bit late, right? So to sum up, we are getting players to play our game first, and then we're focusing on getting basically our money, right? Additional bonus here is we have a lot of players, and that means our analytics will be much stronger. So in traditional games, when you have analytics, because you can implement a lot of analytics, and then you can track it, you can learn a lot about how players behave. But then you basically did all of that and you got all of the telemetry after you already sold your game, right? So it's not going to impact the sales of that type, which is kind of a problem, right? Because we are making games to kind of earn money, right? So mobile free-to-play is basically perfectly designed to take advantage of great analytics, because you're not only getting them before you make your sale often, you are continuously improving the product and continuously monetizing the players. So you are getting the benefit of analytics in a continuous manner, right? So this is very important here. Right, so more players, more data, better. So to go over the business model, we can think of an average player and how much money are we expecting to get out of that player. This is called lifetime value, so LTV in short. There will be a lot of abbreviations here, so yeah, just a heads up. LTV, it measures how well you are monetizing the player. And if you can understand LTV as a single number, then you can easily focus on maximizing this number. When we want the line to go up, this is the number on the line, right? And yeah, the development team focuses on maximizing LTV. And this leaves the other side of the equation, which is cost per user, right? So you will buy users using ads, and the whole idea here is to spend less money on users than you're getting back, right? So if you are buying a user for $1 and you are then monetizing them for $2, you are $1 ahead, right? If you can do that on 100,000 users a month, you're $100,000 in the green, right? Obviously, there are some issues which we'll talk about shortly, but this is like the basic, most important thing to understand here. So, KPIs. So, the most important tool for mobile game development, maybe one of two most important, next to which will be on the next slide, is KPIs. We are understanding lifetime value of the player as a number, and so we want to break that number down into more granular metrics that will allow us to actually do something in the game. Because it's great from like bird's eye point of view, but it's useless for the game design, right? You're not going to do anything good. What you need is more specific KPIs. So the first step in breaking that down is retention. If you have what we said in the beginning, which is you want to first get your players, then monetize them. So first step is keeping your players playing, right? Because that will allow all the fun stuff later, right? So keeping your players playing, this is measured by retention, and retention is measured using by taking amount of players that are left in your game by the given day, and dividing them by the amount of players that started playing your game, right? So if you have by day 3, let's say 15 players left out of 100, your day 3 retention will be 15%, right? Usually benchmark for the retention for day 1 is 40%. I know that Michał will have a bit more benchmarks in the next presentation that will be in this room. So basically, if you want to learn about more like numbers and current benchmarks, then Michał's presentation will be great for that. After you have your players playing, then there are two things you need to consider. First, what is your monetization strategy? Is it through ads or is it through apps? So ads, we are showing people ads basically, right? So we need to have as much impressions as possible, and then we need to make sure that we are selling the ads at a sufficient price, right? So on iApps, which is in-app purchases, right? So this is microtransactions. So if you want to sell the microtransactions, you first need to make sure that the player actually breaches the payment barrier, which is conversion. And when you've reached the payment barrier, then you need to focus on extracting as much money as possible from the player, right? This is our game. Right. Another side note here is that KPIs, they are often only thought about in the context of like business decision making or like data analytics, but they are a bit more broad of a topic. If you are a programmer and if you use Profiler, the Profiler is directly showing you which KPI, like which place in the game causes the biggest drawback to your performance, right? So it's actually literally a key performance indicator, right? So if you focus on that, you can then basically if you express a problem as a number, you will always be able to optimize it in like an efficient way, right? So that's a good mindset to have. Although, yeah, the trick is in defining the metrics correctly, obviously. And here is the first like job title I'd like to kind of introduce, which is business intelligence people. Basically, the goal of that is to support the decision making at the top, and also create like a data environment where questions about KPIs can be answered easily, right? So if your designer wants to know, okay, how many purchases did my players on average made last week? They should be able to answer that question themselves, but this will usually be made through a tool that the business intelligence team created for them, right? So it's going to be, they are preparing the environment for the rest of the team to take advantage of it. And the second role here is the data analyst or data scientist. And this is the person that directly works with analytics. And besides assisting the team, they are answering a bit more complex questions, right? If you want to understand what is the impact of, let's say, what is the impact of each of the recent big like event that took place in the real world on your game, and you kind of want to extract all of the regular things that happen in the game, you will probably go to someone who's a bit more versed in the data to analyze the data for you, right? Game designers, we often fall into the trap of assuming the data analysis is easy and we can do this ourselves, but this is not necessarily true. So relying on someone who's actually educated in that and has some background is sometimes a good idea, right? I will be introducing more roles throughout this presentation to kind of build some more context. One disclaimer here, the names of the roles are kind of fuzzy. There is a lot of companies name these basically as they see fit, and that's just how it is. But hopefully by small description you can, it will be helpful. So the second tool that is fundamental to the industry is A/B testing. A/B testing is, we are taking the change we want to introduce into the game, and instead of just shipping it, we will create a version of the game with this change and a version of this game without the change. Then we will assign the players randomly to these groups, and we will compare the KPIs for these changes, right? So then we can eliminate as many like random things that can influence the results. Like maybe it was raining last week, right? And if it was raining last week, players stayed more indoors, so they played they played your game more, and this caused your numbers to be higher, right? You cannot account for that in the analysis, and that's why you're making A/B tests, so you can eliminate as many variables and random things as possible, and basically just focus on what was the actual effect of this change. This is a very nice position to be in, and to be able to kind of access that tool, and mobile games are in a perfect position to take full advantage of that. Right. Obviously, we are using this tool to make sure that no change that is harmful to the game goes through. That's the most important part, because you will take many shots in your game industry career, and a lot of these shots will miss. And this allows us to kind of filter it out and just get the ones that hit the target true, right? Right. Another benefit of that is having your hypothesis tested and see where it fails is incredibly useful tool for learning. It's easy to kind of assume you have an idea, and if the idea looks good, you're introducing this to the game, and it doesn't feel right, but you don't know why that failed, right? Or you don't even know that failed. With A/B testing, you can track which metrics fell down, and then you can better understand what it is you missed about the change you made, right? So this is very useful for game designers to understand like what's going on in your game, right? This will build the understanding, competency. It's really good to analyze, especially failures, right? One more thing here. Another way to kind of leverage the A/B testing is to sometimes you can just remove assumptions from your design. We were working on like a lootbox system, and in lootbox systems you often take like a best item that can drop from there, and you show this item as a preview that you can get this best item from the lootbox, right? And this is kind of advertising the lootbox to the players, right? And there was an issue with the lootbox that pertained to the game economy, which we'll touch on later. But basically, we kind of wanted to change a lot of stuff within it. And the problem was we did not know how big of an impact removing the nice shiny item would have on the overall effect of the feature, right? And this was something we talked about, and we weren't sure. And in the end, we decided, let's test it, right? Because we can. And it turned out it's actually really impactful, and we cannot remove that easily. We have to replace it with something that's as shiny as the previous one, or else the KPIs for the feature will drop, and it will be like a big problem. And we could have tested this in like a week. We did that. We had the results after a week, and we didn't waste 2 months developing it and then being, okay, one of our assumptions is wrong. What now? Do we cut the feature? Do we try to find where is the problem then? It will be really difficult to go after the fact and basically find it, right? Right, and 2 more roles here. So game designer, obviously makes changes to the game and A/B tests them, right? And I think it's good practice to think about mobile game designers as people who create change that then is A/B tested, instead of people who design features, right? Or like build gameplay, right? Because the game is a sum of changes, and you need to think about mobile as basically continuous development for a long time. And thinking about this in terms of changes and not in terms of features, I feel like is a bit healthier. Right, so another role I kind of put here is quality assurance, because there is a lot of A/B testing is a messy process sometimes. You will have 5 tests running at a time, and these tests will be on different features, and it will be affecting like games in really unpredictable ways. And you need skilled people to catch where the things are going wrong before you ship it, right? It's obviously good to have no errors, but errors will happen, and you need to have people who will catch that. That's why I added quality assurance here. Right. So we have two most important tools for the industry talked about. Let's talk about the cost side first, right? So how do we acquire users? And the first thing to note here is that not all users need to be acquired. Some of them are kind of organic users, right? So people who browse the store and will stumble upon your game, right? So this is called organic traffic. If you can cultivate organic traffic, do it. It's worth doing it. The only way to it's hard to affect it because obviously it's mostly on the store side and like the algorithms that run the store. You need like contacts at Google to maybe give you some hints, right? But it's basically a bit. It's not as transparent as the paid side, right? And the only thing you can do to improve the organic traffic and to kind of also help with paid traffic later is to basically make sure your store page is working well, it's named well, and basically optimize it, right? There are a lot of small things that matter here. The name of your application. You might have named your game in like a cool way, and the name is like reflected in all of the marketing materials, right? Everything's great. However, it turns out that if you add like a magic or knights in your title, the game will do better. So you kind of have to do that, right? That's why the names for applications on the store are often really weird, right? Because you can put more stuff in the name and it kind of makes the app do better, which is weird, but that's how it is. Right. And yeah, this has a little impact. So yeah, if you can, do it, right? And if you can find someone who is good at it, ask them to help you. So, coming fully to the paid traffic, here we have ads. Obviously, if you want your game to get more users, the way to do this is ads. In mobile games, we call this creatives, right? And creatives, basically the best way to do it is approach it with just a large scale, right? It's one of the things where quantity definitely pays off, and yeah, a lot of studios, like I'm sure some studios have success with the quality approach, but most of the success I heard is usually through just sheer quantity. If you have the brainstorm, you want to do a brainstorm of all of the ideas that you want to sell your game with, but instead of throwing out the 90% of the worst ideas to the trash, you throw them at the players instead, right? And some of them would work, possibly, maybe, right? So if you throw like 100 creatives and one can work, then you need to dissect it. You need to analyze like frame by frame what's happening there, why is it working, right? You need to just sit and look at it, analyze it, right? And then you need to ask yourself, why is like a Santa cutting hair on Joe Rogan that's generated with AI with a hair for some reason works? Like, why does that appeal to your players, right? It's a tough job. It's a tough job. So yeah, last thing here is you need to target your users correctly, right? If you have a game that's you always define like a target audience for this game, and you need to figure out where this the target audience is basically gathering, right, and target there. You will discover additional types of players that enjoy your game for some reason, and then you can also like optimize your campaigns to utilize that better, right? But it's basically a constant push and pull into basically seeking users, seeking new creatives, and yeah, following that process. So a role ACO specialist, right, which is app store optimization specialist. This is someone who keeps your store page great, makes sure that you are using keywords, makes sure the icon makes sense, right? A few years back, there was this trend where every single game on the store had like a screaming face. You probably remember that. And yeah, basically there are trends, and you kind of need to follow some of them. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it will not work. And to figure out what works and what doesn't work, you use A/B testing, right? So that's how it works. And also we have creative designer. So this is the person that designs ads. And this role is really weirdly named in most of the industry. When you look outside of the game industry, you are usually seeing creative designer. That's why I named it like this here. But in the game industry, you have like marketing specialists, content creators, video editors. It's basically kind of messy, right? So we should probably figure out how to call that and just stick with one name. It would be easier, right? Right, and another thing to note with purchasing players is scaling issue. If the game can monetize like 10,000 players, if you can buy 10,000 players for, let's say, 50 cents a piece, it doesn't mean you can buy 100,000 players for 50 cents a piece, right? It goes down. There are inefficiencies that will basically crop up in the user acquisition pipeline. These have many sources. You probably, if you play mobile games, you probably know that you often are shown the ads for the same game over and over and over, right? If you saw 10 times the same ad, you're probably not going to be convinced by the 11th ad, right? So that's one of the inefficiency. The other one is the broader you're casting the net, the further you go from your target audience, right? So obviously, if you're making a game about pottery, right? And this is going to be kind of difficult to widen the net here, right? You can do like first 2 months of user acquisition. You can get all of the pottery enthusiasts, right, playing your game, and then you're going to have hard time convincing someone that's not interested in pottery into trying your game about pottery, right? That's just how it is. And this also works on the LTV side, right? So if you have someone who has a hobby that's reflected in your game, they will be more eager to spend money on your game. And if you get someone from like outside your target audience there, do you really expect them to kind of pay a lot of money for like a hobby game about pottery if they don't care at all about this, right? It's going to be more difficult. So the more you scale, the harder it is to basically optimize the numbers, right? And actually, you can also run out of people, which sounds weird, but it's true. How many of you heard of a small game called Raid Shadow Legends? Yeah. So if there are two groups here, those who played this game, right, and those who heard about this and were probably not going to play it, right? If you're going to get shown another ad for Raid Shadow Legends, you're not excited here, and that kind of means that they ran out of people, right? They were super successful user acquisition campaign, but now they're out of people. Good luck. They're all here. UA specialist controls all of this mess, right? So you need to get campaigns, make sure they are targeted correctly, make sure that you're not scaling outside of the profitability zone, right? And basically make sure everything is okay. Right. Monetization strategy. So you have two main strategies here. It's either going with ads or IAPs. So ad strategy, you are getting as much impressions as possible. So sitting the player and showing them ads, right? Obviously, you need to make sure that they keep playing your game, and as long as they play, you can show them ads, right? Rewarded videos are much better for this because player is initiating the ad, and so they don't get annoyed at you for showing them ads, right? And the effect is even better because they're more expensive, so that's a loss, right? Alternative is IAP monetization, which is to sell someone something, you need to create value inside the game that you're going to sell. This is not that easy, but it is something that was done successfully in many games, so it's possible, right? Another hint you can do here is basically using other players as motivators, right? If I delete 1 week of players' progress, and I'll say, pay up $50 for me to restore it, players are going to leave, right? But if player is attacked by another player who destroys his village or something, and the player has to spend $50 to rebuild it, they are going to do this, and then they are going to spend another $200 to get revenge, right? So that's basically, you're using players' interactions to kind of push instead of you, right? So the players don't get mad at you, they get mad at other players, right? So that's one social interaction. The other social interaction is you can foster like positive emotions here also. You're not just evil, right? Some people are motivated when they see other people kind of get benefit from their play, right? So if you have like a whale, and the whale is part of the clan, whale is a person that spends a lot of money on the game. I'm sure you know. Clan will be very happy that this person is paying, and they will be encouraging them, and this is rewarding for the whale, that everyone likes me because I spend a lot on the game. This is really desired behavior for you, right? So another two things to consider: what's your game like? Is your game geared more for the short term or more for the long term? Short term, you kind of are building a tourist trap, right? So the player will be in your game for like 20 minutes. You need to go there, you need to take as much money, and you need to basically push as hard as possible, right? If you have, some games are doing really well on the UI side, right? So, some games are easy to sell because the game looks really flashy. It's like really good to advertise, right? And when you download the game, you play it, and after 2 minutes, like, okay, there's nothing deeper here. That this is entire game, right? I know everything about this game in like 2 minutes, right? This is the shallow game, and it will kind of have a short-term lifespan, right? So you need to be more aggressive with your monetization. Long-term game is you want to create a hobby for the player, right? You want to build like a community, foster social interactions within players, and this is like a longer-term monetization strategy. And this is basically like besieging a castle, right? You have the player with his wallet behind thick walls, right? And you're setting up camp, you're setting up your ballista, the funky tower, whatever it's called, right? And you're basically trying to breach the walls and slowly negotiate the surrender of his wallet, right? So that's how it works. And yeah, a quick note about first-time user experience. It's important, right? First impression, very important. Making good tutorial, very important. Basically, you need to, this is something you will be working on forever. So there is no end to kind of optimizing it, right? It's often approached as, okay, let's make the tutorial. Okay, we have the tutorial, let's focus on something else. This is too important to kind of finish it, right? it will almost always give you return on the work you put in here, so it's worth to do. Right. Yeah. So, as you can see, I had a joke here, but I'm cutting it because I'm way over time. So yeah, segmentation. If you have two players in your game, a guy that kind of wants to spend no more than $5 a month on gaming, right, or $10 a month on gaming, you are not going to get this person to pay you $100, right? So you need to take what you get, what you can, and be happy with that, right? And if you have Jeff Bezos, right? He's kind of wealthy, so you can get a bit more money out of them, right? And if you want to create the same game for these two people, you're going to either discourage the $10 guy, or you're going to leave Beth completely under-monetized, right? So you need to segment your players and try to figure out separate strategies for different types of players to basically make sure you're not leaving money on the table, right? Right, and the person responsible for that is a monetization designer. So someone who kind of knows all of the psychological tricks to use, can create like a good-looking shop and make sure this is all working in harmony, right? So, doing LTV with ads. So here are, first of all, doing retention. So you need to keep the players in, then focus on impressions and making sure that your game can sell those impressions at least market price, right? So after retaining the players, you're showing them ads, maximizing impressions per users, ideally through rewarded videos. One thing to note here, there is a kind of an arms race in the ad space. The ad networks are changing, and you need to stay on top of that if you're doing an ad game. There is just a lot of movement in this area, and there are new networks that are proving to be better. Old ones are getting retired, so there is just so this is something to kind of keep in mind when you think about monetizing game with ads. You will have to maintain some of that at least for some time, right? Okay, LTV IAPs. Here we are, after retention, we're focusing on conversion, breaching the walls, and RTPU, which is pillaging the customer, right? So we want happy community of players. This is important to keep the players playing, and basically the trick is to kind of have players focus on the community, and you are building a value system under that community, right? So you need to create like either progression system or collectible system, so that the players feel the value and are kind of eager to spend for that, right? Right. Basically, an analogy you can make here is a hole in the ground, right? There's like a hole, and the progression system is the size of this hole, right? And the player is given like three shovels of dirt, and he can fill the hole every day by 3 shovels, and he can also throw money into the hole, right? And obviously, you kind of want them to want to fill the hole, and you want them to have big enough hole that they will never actually fill it with just dirt, right? And economy designer is responsible for the whole design. And yeah, that's 5 minutes, so I have to speed up. Right. One of the easiest way to do that is utilizing content premieres. Bigger company in Wrocław, 10 Square Games, which I've worked for, is doing this very well. They are basically doing fishing games and hunting games, and they have animals and fish. And animals is content, fish is content, right? So it's easy to design another fish, but it's basically a fish, right? It's easy to design another animal, it's basically like probably another deer, right? So you're just taking this and you're adding it to your game every week, and you will have you will not run out in a sensible amount of time, right? And this is much easier than adding like content, mechanics, or like entire systems, right? If you want to release like a well-made DLC, it's going to take some time, right? It's going to be difficult to do, and the more stuff you have in your game, the harder it is. When you release something new, it's like hot new thing, right? So players are more eager to buy it. This is what you want. And one important note here is that your game needs to be designed to support that. If you design your game where your systems don't support large amounts of content, or basically break as soon as you reach some kind of scale, this will be difficult, and yeah, it's going to be a problem. And doing this at large scale is what you want, because if you produce content that costs like $1,000 to make for 10,000 users, it will not be profitable. But if you produce it for 100,000 users, it can be profitable, right? So if your business model doesn't work at small scale, sometimes you need to increase the scale and it starts to work, right? So yeah, here it is. Content designer designs the content, unless the content is fish and there's nothing to design, right? An artist makes the assets, right? Right. Live operations. Basically, when players learn stuff, they will stay in your game, right? And after 2 weeks, there's nothing more to learn in your game, usually. So you are switching gears and you're starting to create like live events. Here's a challenge, here's like a fun new activity. Here we have like a Halloween special something, right? And this is designed to keep the player from the moment the things to learn run out to the moment where player is actually forming some social bonds that will keep him in the game for a bit longer, right? And also you are monetizing people heavily with live events. You can focus, as you control the environment within the live event, you can choose what is your goal here. So you want to convert the players who aren't converted yet, and you want to obviously monetize the players that you did convert already. And after players have their social bonds and are in them clans, your goal is also to engage the clans and make sure that there's always something to do at the very top of the game. Level designer handles that, and community manager is making sure that the social bonds can be formed and that part of the game works. Right, producing features will probably run out of time soon. So producing features, this is really hard, and everything about mobile games makes this harder. You don't have the luxury of basically making features half-baked and then finishing something else and then going back to that before the release. You kind of have to have everything ready and interconnected as soon as you ship it, and this causes massive pains because obviously if you have like 7 systems and you're adding 8 systems, you have to connect the 8 systems to all of the previous ones. This causes issues, this causes a lot of problems, and that's why doing features, systems, and mechanics is hard, and that's why content pipelines is like the easier way to basically monetize the player. I like, there's a saying less is more, which is like a very romantic way, because from just few good ingredients you can create something awesome. However, I prefer more is less, which is kind of depressing and signalizes that everything you add to the game has a huge cost, and you will pay that, cost, right? So be very careful when adding things. And yeah, we run out of time. Testability. Try to make tools for your stuff automate things. This makes sense. Obviously, front-end, back-end developers, support specialists, user interface. We'll skip that, like in every good development. Yeah, and technical setup. The more infrastructure you have that allow you to do things quickly, the better, right? DevOps, QA engineers, automate all of the stuff you can. This will save you tons of time. And there is ton of supporting roles in the game industry. They also deserve a lot of recognition. They allow you to focus on development and not on some silly stuff like making sure that you don't get sued, for example. Right. 3 clouds on the horizon that are coming to our industry. One is AI. We don't know what the impact will be. We'll see, right? Some jobs might get kind of axed. It doesn't necessarily mean that they should be axed. It means that it's probably easy to convince someone that the AI will do a better job, right? And that's kind of how things are. Also, industry is pretty young, but it matures. So the roles will get more clarification. We'll probably see slower progression to the career path, right? If you have 8 years on your resume and you are already a senior, you might be wondering, all right, I'm a senior, I have 30 years ahead of me. What's up with that, right? It's probably going to change in near future. And there is also something to say about regulatory environment. At the moment, it's not really happy. There isn't much things. Nothing is very regulated, but general public kind of feels like we crossed some lines, especially in mobile, right? So I feel like this will be coming, and we should probably get ready for that, right? And the only animation in the presentation. All right then. So thank you very much.